This is arguably the most important person in your business. Today on BCP. Hey there, Proud Nation, and welcome back to another episode of the Blue Collar Proud Show, the show that is all about having and living the blue collar business dream. If you can dream it, you have a little dream, you can build that little dream into a really big dream or an even bigger reality. And Taylor and I want to be a part of that journey towards your success. Thank you so much for tuning in every single week. My name is Carter Harkins, and here's Taylor Hill.
And I'm here again.
Yes, sir. We're talking about something I think is going to be an interesting conversation with somebody who is at the top of her game in the industry that she's in. Brandi Biswell is our guest. But before I get into that, I want to tell you first a little bit about, where'd it go? Hold on. There it is. I'm going to tell you about our sponsor. The screen sometimes. Sponsor is Closing Commander, the automated sales process follow-up system, automated sales follow-up system that closes up to 20% or more of the open estimates in your business. So we just got back from a great showing with that. We're hearing from people that are saying, this is absolutely going to change my business. We're hearing from people saying this has absolutely changed my business. Just incredible stories of how this has upped people's games and completed their sales process, right? Now, we always think we've got a pretty good sales process, but we can always make it better. And one of those ways is by automating sales follow-ups to where every single customer that says, yeah, I need to wait, get back with me, to make sure that that happens. And we can do that in a way that saves business owners and technicians and sales estimators all the time in the world and make them really solid in that department. We're seeing 20% or more for most businesses. It's pretty incredible. We want to see that for you. So if you're interested, go visit our website, www.closingcommander.com. Just click on the pop-up that happens right there on the homepage after you've been on it for a couple of minutes. A few seconds. You can schedule a free 30-minute demo and strategy call with us and see exactly where this sales follow-up automation tool fits within your existing sales process to make it that much more effective. And if you use the link in the show notes for today's episode, you can also, when you choose a plan, you'll get your first 30 days of that plan at no charge. So use that link when you sign up. Do it now. Go to closingcommander.com. Okay, I'm going to read a quote here. And I thought this was great. Ned Colletti, who is, I believe, the advisor to the owner of the Dodgers. Did I get that right, guys?
Yep. Close enough.
Dodgers? Yeah, I think it's the Dodgers.
He's a baseball guy.
Yeah, baseball guy. He said, we were a good team, but the reason why we won 100 games was the manager, right? Good team, but we're winning because management.
Right.
The manager specifically. And what we're talking about today is the office manager. In any service business, the office manager is one of the most critical people to get right. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would absolutely 100% agree with that.
Why do you think that person is so pivotal and can be the difference between chaos and unpredictable growth and waste and all of these things that plague businesses? And when a good manager is in the right seat, you can see controlled growth and healthy profits and less waste and a team that's fully engaged and knows what to do and everything else. Why is that one person so important?
So, and this is my opinion, this is what I think a really good manager has to have. A manager has to have the ability to intuit people. They have to have the ability to encourage and help people with their jobs. A lot of times, a good manager needs to know when to hold somebody's hand and when to let them go and let them get on with it. Especially in today's world, I think these kids that are coming out of high school and college, they are really sharp. And they want to work somewhere where they have some autonomy and some responsibility. So they know when a good manager knows when to hand that responsibility off, who's going to be responsible, how to make things work, how to make systems work, and really they're lever people. You know what they know what lever.
Well, and I think the reason they know what lever is they've got their pulse. I mean, the finger on the pulse of the entire business. They sit at that spot between the carpet and the concrete, where they know every single thing that's going on every minute of the working day.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that know what needs to happen and when. And so I think any business owner, right, can ask if they have a good office manager, it's, hey, should we move somebody, should we promote somebody into this, or should we, what are your thoughts about doing this right now or whatever? And that office manager is going to not only know, but be willing to offer an opinion about whether or not that's a good decision. I think any business owner is served very well by an office manager.
Yeah, when you've got an office manager that's willing to stand up and say, no, what that person needs to do is be paid for doing that job that he or she does so well.
Yeah.
Because just moving that person up to here is not going to work, and here's why.
Right.
Because, one of the things that you and I really believe in is the core value index test, the CVI test. And I love this particular test because it really does tell you the culture and somebody's natural proclivities, if you will, and their strengths, and why sometimes moving people is not the right thing, because you've got to put people into their strengths. And so really good managers understand that they want to put people in those places of their strengths and let them shine there, and give them responsibility and pay them for being the best whatever it is they can be.
The best office managers I've ever met they know what they need to know. So they're high on knowledge. That's something that they value. They've got their finger on the pulse. They know every little thing that goes on. I mean, if a pin drops or if a wrench falls out of the back of a truck halfway across town, somehow that office manager knows about it. Yeah. It's just amazing to me. But it's not just the knowledge that serves them well. That coupled with an intuition and a sense of action that makes that office manager absolutely indispensable. When they know what's going on in the business, but they know that knowledge is paired up with a sense of what the right next step is, or what the right action is based on what that knowledge is. That's when we see really good. I mean, fast to make decisions, and every decision they make is almost always a good one. That's that key role there that seems to be.
Yeah, I mean, and you will suffocate your office manager if you don't let them into your business to understand everything. Now, that's different than controlling the purse strings. They need to know about it, but they don't control it. There are some office managers that are small that are really trusted, and I'm not saying that's not okay, but when it comes to money, I'm really different in that, because it's like, yes, you want to be transparent, but you don't give I've known guys that hire an office manager that's been there a week and they give them the checkbook. It's like, no, you don't do that. Yeah. I mean, there's some trust issues there that you've got to build with that office manager. But you've got a good one. Yeah, let them in on the financial deal. I mean, they will help you.
That brings up an interesting point. We'll file this away for a later episode, but it'd be interesting to dive into stories about because I think good business owners, when they get a good office manager and they're paired with somebody who really understands the business and can go deep with that and run it, I mean, execute on the daily operations of the business from the office side. I think it's a great pair. And I think a good business owner will let that person really inhabit that role and bring their value, their best and highest contribution in that role. But there's probably a delicate balance there, because if that person ever left and that business owner hadn't stayed on top of what they were doing and how the business was running, and had turned over too much and had sort of become laissez-faire or lazy, even lackadaisical about their engagement in their own business, that business could just literally, it's like the pilot stepping away from the wheel of the plane, or from the controls of the plane, and watching it just take a nosedive straight into the ground. So that'd be an interesting conversation for some other episode.
Because I got stories.
Oh, everybody does. And I mean, I can think of 2 or 3 business owners right now that nearly killed their business just when their office manager left, because they didn't know anything about what was really going on day to day. And it left them in such a lurch
Yeah.
that it was trying to pull that plane out of the nosedive. Took everything they had, and they both of the ones I'm thinking of did it.
Yeah.
But it took them a while.
Yeah, I got one right now I've been talking to. Tough.
Yeah,
Tough,
that's how
tough,
crucial
tough.
that person
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk
Very
with
much
Brandi
so.
Biswell today. She runs it, man. She is the co-owner with her husband, Jeremy, of Flues Brothers Chimney Services in Kansas City. And her name is Brandi Biswell. She is somebody that we think is absolutely a rising star in this industry and brings a lot of knowledge to the conversation. So let's chat with her about why it's important to manage the office well and how important that office manager really is. And then we'll come back afterwards and chat a little bit more. Brandi Biswell, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're glad to have you on and bringing an important voice today, I think, to something that is a subject we have not covered specifically or in depth. And the reason is because we didn't have the right person to talk to until just now. This is something that I think you've done exceptionally well. And the reason I know that is because everyone in the industry tells us that when we need to have someone on to talk about this thing, that you're the person we need to come to. And because you and your husband are clients of ours as well, we've been able to see into your business and see how well you're doing it. What we're talking about today is office management. And you have a bit of a background too, coming out of a different field, but I think it's served you really well in helping to create systems to run the office really well. So what I'd like to do is just, Brandi, if you would, tell us a little bit about your background and how it relates to the office systems and management that you've created for your business.
Sure. So my background is actually in nursing. I have a master's degree in nursing with an emphasis on hospital administration. So my husband and I actually met in nursing school and got married. And then he said, "Oh, I'm going to start this chimney business." And I'm like, "Oh, I thought I married a nurse. Go ahead and go start that chimney business. And I'll just stay here on the sidelines and continue in my nursing career." And so that's what we did for many years. He went down the chimney business track, and I remember I used to hate going to client dinners and listening to them talk about all the chimney verbiage that I had no idea what they were talking about, and I didn't understand it, and I couldn't just wait to get home because I just couldn't understand the language that they were using.
Sure.
And so I just continued my career in nursing and did that for about 16 years until come October of 2013, our office manager at the time decided that she was going to move back to Wisconsin for a boy. And that is what we call our busy season here at Flues Brothers, which just means it's crazy busy. And Jeremy was kind of like, "I don't know what I'm going to do." I was looking at taking a promotion at the hospital that I wasn't really sure I wanted. And so I said, "Hey, why don't I come help you out just for the busy season? And then in the spring, I'll go back and decide what I want to do with my nursing career." And that was in 2013. Flash forward, it's 2018, and I'm still at Flues Brothers.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I know that your influence there has been all for the good and understanding what it takes to run an office well, how that intersects and overlays with the work being done in the field, and how different those two functions really are. I think those are all things that you could talk about a little bit, but I'm curious, when you took over, and this is maybe asking too much information, I don't know, but when you took over, what were some of the first things that you went, no, we're changing this?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, it was a very, very different place when I took over. At the time, we only had about 5 employees. My husband was just trying to survive, and I didn't realize really what was going on in the business. I didn't really have a clue what was going on, and he was just trying to get to the customers and meet their needs. And so we like to joke that basically if you had a pulse, you could have a job, and it didn't matter if you had reliable transportation or a reliable phone, you could have a job. And so one of the first things when I got in here, we were still on paper, and there weren't a whole lot of systems in place, and we had just some really bad eggs working for us. And so those were the things that I had to get to work on immediately. And one of the things that they teach you in school, in graduate school, is when you're new to a position or a job, not to make any changes in the first 90 days. That's the time where you really just need to get used to everyone and they need to get used to you. But it was very clear that we didn't have 90 days to wait. There were some changes that needed to take effect right away. When I was in nursing, we were looking when I left the nursing, I was working in the hospital. And I was working in peri-op, so operative surgeries. And one of the things that they were really focusing on is looking at the airline industry, because pilots have a system that they have to follow every time before they start up that plane, fire up that engine. And so we were implementing a lot of that in healthcare. And so systems, checks and balances to make sure that we've got the right patient, we're moving the right limb. And all of those systems transfer very well into any type of office setting. And so that's what I really tried to bring to the table, and immediately search for a system that we could go to electronically and start to get rid of some of those bad eggs and get the right people on the right team.
So tell me really quickly, because we're a proponent of systems and everything you can systematize. But tell me really quickly, when you first started that, did you get a lot of, oh, this is not going to work?
So there were people that I needed to let go. And then there were people that I think could have stayed on the team. But because we were making those changes and they weren't used to having systems in place or having a system to follow, they were not able to adapt to that change. They were very resistant. And then I have one or two left that were hired just shortly after, as we were starting to make those changes. And so I was able to, as I hired them, to say, hey, these are the systems that we're putting in place, and how do you adapt to change? And because these systems are new, they're going to be evolving. How do you adapt to that, and vet them to make sure that that was going to be something that they could get on board with?
That's fantastic.
As you begin to make changes, I mean, I know that managing that process, change management, I mean, it's an entire field in itself with a lot of great expertise in how to do that, especially in it's different for small organizations than large organizations, but not much different. I mean, the same goals and objectives apply, but in dealing with those changes, making sure everybody's on the same page, was it helpful? I know for us, when we implement changes, we were always talking about the big picture of what it is we're trying to accomplish here. How did those people that you knew you wanted to keep and transition through those changes, how did you communicate with them why these changes were so important?
Well, letting them know that we valued them and that they were an important part of the process and a part of that change. And so gathering what their input was, because keep in mind, anyone coming into this field, anyone that I would hire today for my office or a technician, most people don't know the language. They don't have that experience. And these were people that had already been doing the work and had a lot more experience than I did. So gathering their input and allowing them to have input into those processes as we developed them and changed them was critical.
Mm. And as that continued then, how did those systems, and I'm thinking not just of, because it's impossible to have a system that just is like just for the office and a whole different standard for people in the field. Those have to interact, right? They have to overlay one another. Communication. I love Mark Stoner. He talks about where the concrete meets the carpet. Those sort of two areas of your business where there has to be communication in order to facilitate getting the job done well. Talk a little bit about the systems and how things impacted the whole business and why you decided some of those decisions were important. How did you communicate those things to the guys in the warehouse or the techs in the field of why we're making these changes, why we're going to this paperless system, this digital system, why it's important that we all start using this, in order to get that follow through all the way from the concrete all the way to the carpet?
Yeah, because buy-in is so important. If we don't have buy-in, it's not going to work. And so, we have morning meetings every morning. And so each day, keeping them involved in what we were looking at, when we were first switching from paper to electronic records, having them look at the demos with us to see what would work, what wouldn't, and go through that process with us and be involved in the training and the development of that was important. And just constantly taking everyone's temperature. So meeting with them on an individual basis, checking in when they get back at the end of the day, just to I like to call it taking their temperature. Just, where are you at? How did this work for you today? What do you think's working? What do you think's not working? So making sure that we were on the same page, and that, again, that they were seeing that we valued their input into this process.
So, what, in your opinion, really is, everybody's looking for a magic bullet, and I'm sure there's not a magic bullet in office management, because there's certainly not anything else I've ever found. But what, in your opinion, do you have like a top 3 or top 5 or whatever of the things that you really need to look at to really be able to manage an office well?
Well, I think you need to not micromanage. That's number one. I am definitely not a micromanager, and I don't work well with people that micromanage. So I think number one is hiring the right people that you can delegate to. So delegate would be number 2, so that you are not having to micromanage them. Supporting them and just getting out of their way, giving them whatever tools and resources that they need so that they can do the job and do it well, and then just getting out of the way. Consistently training for the office side, and as an office manager, always providing that training and assessing what training they need. My office manager, for example, here at Flues Brothers, one of her strengths is not Excel, and it's not my strength either. We're trying to hire an office person that is their strength. We've had some in the past. And so we just signed her up for an Excel class in August. She also attends different social media programs and outlets here in Kansas City, local groups that we have. So making sure that I'm also growing our staff as well, and feeding into them and giving them skills that when they leave here, they can take elsewhere as well. So I don't know if that was 5 things.
No,
That's all really good.
Yeah,
those are my
really,
top
really
ones,
good.
though.
Yeah, all things that we totally believe in. We have a belief here that we kind of have our office. It's an open hand system. People come, people go, and we hope that when and if they leave better.
Yeah,
so,
we want to enrich them while they're here.
Right. So I love that. So the other question I have for you, and it may be a little premature, but I really want to ask this question because I know you and Jeremy. How did this affect your personal life? Because there are so many people out there, husband and wives together, with you coming in and making all the changes. How did y'all handle that?
Well, I think you first would have to go way back to when we were first married, which we've been married almost 19 years. When I was doing the nursing thing, in nursing, you usually work 2 12-hour shifts or 3 12-hour shifts. And so I was trying to, on my days off, help him run the business. And it was very clear early in our marriage, we had not been married long enough to make that work. I would schedule something wrong and he would get upset, and I would cry, and I could not separate personal and business. So early on in our marriage, it would have never worked. Being married almost 19 years, we're different people. We've grown up together, essentially. However, when I started and making these changes, some of them he was great, he was on board with. Some of them I had to convince him, and that still happens even on a daily basis, where just yesterday it was something as simple as a fillable checklist, a fillable PDF. And I was just trying to make it the best version, but I took what he told me the wrong way. And so then we had to have a meeting, just the 2 of us, and say, look, this is the goal I'm trying to accomplish, and this is where I feel the communication broke down. So there's always those challenges and those obstacles to get over. But as far as our personal lives, we do try very hard when we have that off time, when it is the night or the weekends. We do try to not discuss business. We get up at 5 a.m. every Saturday and Sunday and take our dogs on a 3-mile walk. And we'll catch ourselves slipping back into business and be like, nope, we got to shut that conversation down. That can wait till Monday. And so it does require constant effort. However, on a personal level for me, just coming into the business, this couldn't be a better fit for me. When I was at the hospital, I am that very type A personality who wants to please my bosses. And so I would work 60, 70 hours a week, whatever the job took, weekends, nights, forget to feed the kids, whatever it took, because I want to be that great employee. That's how I was able to rise through the ranks. Now I'm able to have much more work-life balance. Now during the school year, I can leave at 2:00. I have an office manager that is perfectly capable of running the office. She can contact me if I need anything, and I can go home and pick up my kids from school and get them to dance class and then work from home later in the evening. So now on a personal level, it's wonderful. As I'm recording this with you, Jeremy's going to be leaving and taking our daughter to an emergency dentist appointment.
Oh, wow.
So in that aspect, on a personal level, it's wonderful.
So really having your office management very well put together, you've really described freedom.
You have to, yeah, you want to have that great office support that can be there and run things when you're gone. And our technicians are the same. When Jeremy's gone, they help me on the technician side if there's something technical I don't know, or when Jeremy and I are both away on a vacation or at a convention, they all just do a spectacular job, and they know who to report to when we're gone in our absence.
That's incredible. Well, congratulations on growing a strong business, not just a strong business, but growing a strong business with your spouse, and really stepping it up and setting an example for other businesses, not only in the chimney industry, but just in home service trades in general. That's no small thing. And kudos to you for doing that.
Thank you.
And let's definitely check in. I'd love to have other conversations with you. Would you be open to doing that?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandi. Yeah, she didn't mince words a whole lot, does she?
No, she's very clear, very concise, and my guess is, you know what? I'm just going to say it. It's not a guess because she's one of our clients.
Yeah.
She is one of the best communicators.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you, we have another client that also has a master's degree in nurses administration who is also an unbelievable communicator. So I'm thinking, wow, maybe if you want an office manager in a service business, you need to go find
nurse administration
people.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
It's funny, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been great watching their business grow and hearing their story too. But yeah, I just we could learn so much from just following her around for a day.
Oh yeah, yeah. And there's so much about Brandi that I just like as a person and the way she conducts herself and the culture they built. And there's just so much to being an office manager that people, it's just not shuffling papers from one place to another. And she really makes that very, very clear.
She's always looking for ways to make it better, right? Systems, whatever.
Yeah, and she is a systems person. So I would think, because you're a systems person, that part of her is very appealing to you, to where she starts talking about the systems and how they put things into place. Just tell me, just in your opinion, how important are systems? Because I talk to people who really just want to fly by the seat of their pants. And I'm a little bit like the fly by the seat of my pants.
Sure, that intuitive sense of what we need to do right now. And Brandi's an interesting mix of the two. So, I really appreciate the fact that you think in systems and have brought the systems, to our business and let other people bring some systems in as well. It's really helped. Yeah.
So I'm much more of a believer now in systems than I was, 10 years ago. But talk a little bit about just how important you think finding those systems are and implementing those into the business and what it does for a business.
Yeah, I don't know how anyone would manage anything without systems. And I'll be honest, the way I approach systems is because I'm an ineffective micromanager. I don't do well when I've got to tell people what to do all the time. I hate that. That's like the worst place in the world for me to spend, an hour of my day is having to tell people what to go do. I hate it. I want a system that's in place and a business that is capable of following a system so closely that at any point in time, any employee that works here knows exactly what they need to do because the system tells them what's next, right? And to me, that's an effective system integrated with an effective team.
Right.
Now, if you don't have an effective team, no matter how effective your system could be, it's not going to work. And you can have a system that's failing a really effective team, and it's not going to work either. So it really is both of those things. And that's what you and I over 10 years have really, worked to try to understand. You come from the people side. I'm trying to impose the system side. And where it really started to work well was when we allowed someone to start building systems that supported our great team.
Right.
And it worked, that's where it really started working the best. But I don't know, I can't imagine in the beginning when it's a small business, it's not so bad to just, shoot from the hip.
Mm-hmm.
But as that business scales, there is no way in the world that a business owner can stay on top of everything that they would need to stay on top of to continue shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that the more players there are, when you're calling shots, from the sidelines all the time, and what do they call it? Calling audibles. Sorry,
Audibles.
I'm tipping my hat to the fact that I'm not a sports person here. But I'm looking at the two guys over there, Aaron and Jonathan, and they're like nodding their head. Did I get that one right?
Yeah, you got
okay.
it right.
All right,
Audible.
great, good.
Very good.
When a business owner is constantly doing that, it can put a team in absolute chaos because they don't know. There's no predictability. Well, last time this situation happened, he said this, but then the time after, before that, it was this, and I have no idea what we're supposed to do. So we got to go to him. So if every solution to the problems in your business, are things that you have to mediate, then every problem in your business is going to come to your door. And as a business owner, if you have a big ego, that can be a great place to be. And you can grow a pretty successful business that way. But eventually you got no more time to give anybody, and people are going to start making mistakes. They're not going to do it the way that you like. They're going to make a decision before they can consult with you because you weren't available at the time they needed you when they were making that decision. So they called their own audible. And now we're in a situation where you're firing people for not doing what you wanted them to do, but they had no idea of knowing what it was that you would have said because you weren't available. And it's unfair to your employees. Systems help to eliminate that when you follow processes, right? Our friend Jerry Eisenhower talks all the time about standard operating procedures.
Right.
Chuck Roydhouse is another one that implements those very well in his business. I would imagine that in Chuck's business, there's not a single employee that he has that would say, yeah, I don't know what Chuck would want me to do in this situation.
Yeah, I would bet you're right.
They're going to go to the SOP and they're going to know exactly what Chuck wants them to do in that situation because it's spelled out in excruciating detail.
Yeah.
I think that's the goal every one of us should shoot for in our business, because when you have those things in place, you can scale it. And an office manager who is really good can help you create those systems to make things work really well because of the place that he or she occupies in your business, that crucial juncture where all intersections are happening, right?
Yeah.
From customers to technicians and the operations of the business and the finances and all of those things. They just sit at a really unique spot to understand the big picture and the systems that need to be put in place to make it run well.
Yeah, and I would even say that when you have really good systems in place, it frees up time to be able to really start working more on your business, less in your business. You have time to think, you have time to create, you have time to intuit, you have time. I mean, it's the time free.
And it's more time than you would ever think.
Yes, it really is. Because there was a time I was the middle of that spoke and everybody came to me. And once the system was created, it was like, wow, I've got time to go do some of these other things that I really need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really awesome. Yeah. So I'm a big proponent now of systems.
I agree. And I think Brandi is too. And that was a great conversation with her. All right, let's wrap this one up. If you'd like to let us know how we're doing, we would love it if you would take a minute and leave us a review over in iTunes. Thank you so much. More reviews over there mean that we are able to serve more listeners, to strengthen more blue-collar businesses across the United States and even the world, and help to solidify communities by providing better jobs. All of these things are goals of this podcast. So when you share us with other people, that's what you're a part of. Don't forget that you can download our show app for free in the Apple App Store or from Google Play. Great content. There's all sorts of bonuses and special offers, such as this one, to remind you right now that you can sign up for a Closing Commander demo and learn about how this automated sales follow-up process can be integrated into your existing sales process to make it complete. Just go to closingcommander.com to sign up for a demo and use the link in today's show notes to get your free 30 days on any plan you choose. You can buy a copy of our book, Blue Collar Proud, 10 Principles for Building a Kick-Ass Business You Love. It's available over at Amazon.com, both paperback and Kindle. When you get it and read it and you enjoy it, go leave us a review over there too, if you would. Most of all, just come hang out with us over in the Blue Collar Proud Nation Facebook group. Do a search on Facebook for Blue Collar Proud Nation. Ask to join. We'll let you right in. Be happy to have you. And you can find out about all the other places where you can connect with us by simply going to bcpshow.com/connect. And that is going to do it for this episode of the Blue Collar Proud Show. As always, Taylor and I want to thank you so much for listening. We also want to thank the people that have made this show happen every single week since we started. Aaron Blaze, our technical director, Jessica Wynn, our show coordinator, and Jonathan Sanders, our social media manager. Until next time, remember, it takes the same energy to build a business you hate as it does to build one that you're so darn proud of you can't hardly stand it and you keep talking about it and driving everybody crazy. So why not build it that way? We'll see you again next time, right here on Blue Collar Proud.
The Blue Collar Proud Show is a production of the Blue Collar Proud Network.